Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. So excited to be here. It is Monday the 17th of May in autumn in Australia, which is absolutely fabulous. I hope that everything is going really well for you. I'm going to share some private stuff today because I love to share how people can move beyond loss and create their better life. But today, and it is exactly what I'm going to talk about, but it's going to be a little bit more closer to home and I think relevant for all of us. So I'm going to share a story and then I'm going to ask you guys to sort of chip in and share a little bit what's going on in your life. Okay, so as you all know, and hi, Kelly, great to see you here. Say hello, everyone. Hi, Narelle. Great you're all here. So over the weekend, over the past 4 days, since Thursday morning, I, as most of you know, I'm on the Gold Coast, and I picked my daughter up who lives in Sydney. And we spent 2 days together, Thursday and Friday, and most of Saturday, down staying at the Mantra at Salt. And then we came back to where I live in Hope Island, and we had some great times with my boys, their wives, and my grandson, and of course my husband. Now, my daughter is, I adopted my daughter out when I was 16, okay? So it hasn't been an easy relationship for us, and we've been in each other's lives for 20 years now. And it's only really in the last couple of years that since I moved back from Sydney to the Gold Coast, believe it or not, we used to live very close to each other, like 5 Ks from each other. And it was a very, very hard relationship because obviously we both had who we are. We hadn't ever lived together. She had a lot of I guess abandonment is probably the best way to describe it. And I had a lot of guilt and shame and all of those sort of things. So it's really a relationship that I want to talk to you about because I've done a lot of work on myself and I've done a lot of work on healing our relationship, both together and separately, a lot of work separately. And I want to go through a process that I did, which really seemed to assist both of our relationships. So as you know, I'm a beyond loss expert. So I help everyone be able to move beyond any kind of loss. And there are over 40 different loss events that can affect all of our lives. And obviously abandonment is one of them and adoption is one of them. So whether you're the one who adopted out your child or whether you were adopted, there's a whole lot of stuff that comes with it. And first of all, if you are on either of those places, or even if you are a parent of an adopted child, I highly recommend that you read the book, which is called The Primal Wound. So Primal and then wound, Wound, because that was one of the turning points in our relationship when her hairdresser, actually, who is also adopted, suggested that she read her the book. She didn't actually even suggest it. She actually bought her a copy of the book. And she said, read that. So that was the first stepping stone in it. And then I read the book. And it was a really, really hard book for me to read. I started reading the first 100 pages on it. I think it's like 250 pages. The first 100 pages for me, took me months to read. And I read a lot, but it was just heart-wrenching, really heart-wrenching for me. And I'm a great believer that whenever you make a choice, at that time, you always make the right choice with the facts that you know, okay? So it's really hard to look back as an adult, like someone who was in her 50s or, early 60s, as I am now, to look back at my 16-year-old self and go, wow, how did you make that choice? because obviously I know so much more now, and there are so many more resources out there. And plus, I'm connected with her as well. So it's not as though I looked at her and went, oh my God, I'm giving you up. No, I was 16. Sure, I was dating her father, but not for long after we adopted her out. But the thing is that I knew that I didn't want to get married at that age. And in 1973, that was sort of your choice. It was get married or adopt your child out, or obviously have an abortion. But abortion never came into my psychic, because I was brought up Catholic, and I just, don't believe in it. And not that I'm putting shame or guilt or anything onto anyone else's. That's just my opinion. And I totally understand that if that is your choice, there is nothing wrong with that, because that is the right choice for you. It just wasn't a right choice for me. So what I knew then, I made the right choice. She was going to a better home. She actually was going to a home where I knew that the parents had to own their own home, as in no debt, right? So I'm 16. I don't even have a job. I'm still at school. And you go, well, I'm giving my baby to some parents who can't have a baby, who are going to look after her and love her. And obviously, they're quite wealthy. Hi, Nettie. Hi, Narelle. Great to see you here. So I'm just telling you my story about what has transpired over the weekend with my daughter and I. So in order to heal our relationship, and believe me, it's been 20 years of very up and down, where she's been holding me off, I've been holding her off, and it just got really hard a lot of the times. And then we came, after reading this book, The Primal Wound, and it says in it the worst thing that you can ever do to an adopted child is to break off a relationship. And I'd done it like 3 times. It was like, this is too hard. I can't do it. Obviously, we were never meant to connect. But then when I read that, I thought, oh my God, I've done it so many times. So how I ended up healing our relationship, I did it separately, and I had to, first of all, heal the relationship that I had with the baby that I had carried and the baby that I gave up for adoption. Not the adult woman who I'm having a relationship now, or trying to have a relationship with, but I had to heal that relationship with that baby, with her inner child. And I did that through a process that I do in my Beyond Loss retreats and my Beyond Loss programs, because it's really important for us to understand, as I said earlier, that we always make the right choice with the facts that we knew at that time, okay? I did not know that after giving up my baby, that I was going to think of her every day for the rest of my life. I didn't realize that I would always be wondering. I would always be looking at, people, little kids who look like me, and wonder if that little child could have been my child. And it's a heartache that no matter whatever age you're at, you don't realize it's going to happen. I, ignorantly thought, I give up my baby, I just get on with my life. I didn't understand, oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone in all of us, so that when you actually have a child, you have this instant bond to the child. Even though, after giving birth, it's just rampant in your body. And I didn't understand any of that at 16. I understand it greatly now. So all of these things that happen in our lives that we don't understand, and then we hold all of these angst and regrets and wondering why you feel the way that you do. So I did this process to heal my relationship with the baby that I gave up for adoption. And because we're all energetically connected, that when I healed that relationship through the process, the adult daughter was more open to heal our relationship as adults to adults. Okay, Nettie. Okay, I'm just reading this. Hi, Adelphia. Nice to see you. Nettie, I love that you talk about all the things that people are afraid to. Yeah, thanks, Nettie. You know what? I think it's an age thing. I honestly do believe it's an age thing. But in saying that, I also have a lot of people I know who are my age who are scared of the fact that they don't want to talk about it. And I'll go into a story on that. Adelphia, as an adopted child, it's so lovely to hear what you have to say. Sadly, my birth mother has passed. I'm so happy to hear that you are having success in your life. Oh, thank you, Adelphia. Now, I've got advice for you. I honestly would love for you to read The Primal Wound if you haven't written it. So I'll type it in here now. I've just got shivers all down my body. So thank you. So this is the name of the book, and I can't remember the lady's name, even though I've got 2 copies, but it's in another room, so I'm not going to waste time to go and get it. But if you just type this in, this is the book that I highly recommend that you read if you haven't read it. Now, the other thing is you can go through the process. Excuse me. I'm just trying to. Okay, your mother is on the other side. Okay, have you had a 3-way connection? Well, have you had a connection with her? Excuse me, I'm sneezing, which obviously means more than just a sneeze. Okay, I'm not sure if your mum's around or what, but someone's making me sneeze. Okay, it's quite interesting. Okay, so thank you, Adelphia, for actually writing that, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. Yeah, I'm talking to you. So your mother, have you read the book? Yeah, it is a spirit connection. Thanks, Nettie. I thought as much with me sneezing. So now I'm not a medium. Well, we're all mediums. I'm not a trained medium, but Nettie could help you. I'm pretty sure Nettie will be able to help you. So anyway, let's continue on with what I was talking about. If you want to contact me later, I would love you. And thank you for saying bless you, bless you, bless you for every sneeze I did. Okay. Your mother is around. She's definitely around. So what I'm feeling is you probably never designed to meet up in this life. And it is really sad. But honor your choice. There must have been a reason why, when you designed your life plan, that you chose not to meet up in this lifetime. There is a reason. So there's another really great book that I'd really love you to deep dive into as well if you haven't. And it's called, and I'm going to have to look this one up on my phone because he has 2 books, and I highly recommend both of his books. So the books are by Robert Schwartz, SCHWARTZ, and the books are, let me get it up, Your Soul's Plan, okay, and then Your Soul's Gift is his second one. So I'll write both of these in here as well. And these are great books for everyone, whether you've been adopted or not. Like, we're all alive, and believe me. And I'll go into these books because they're so cool. So it's Your Soul's Plan. And second book is Your Soul's Gift. Didn't type it right, didn't I? Gift. Both by Robert. Okay, so let me explain what these books are about, because I think this will help all of us. Yeah, okay, there you go. So what these books are about is Robert has got people who have, things in their life happen, as we all have things in our life happen. Let's face it, our whole life is a journey from love to loss. And so we're always going from adversity to amazing times. And and I love the saying, and I read it again this morning in something that I was reading, is that, whether we're in love or we're in loss, it's just like a hangover. It's not going to last forever. We're always on this journey where we're traveling from one to the other. So in the Souls, in both his books, he has people who have had issues in their life, and he literally takes people back to their original birth plan. So into the room where you sat down and you decided, right, that this is what's going to happen in my life so that I can learn my life's lessons, my soul's lessons, and advance on a spiritual level. Okay. So we're all spiritual beings having a human experience so we can advance. And we design the things that we want to happen so that we can learn and grow from them. And of course, when we come down here, life's a lot harder. It's, it's very dense down here. Whereas when we're in spirit form, we're all in unconditional love. So we think that we can achieve anything. And that's why when we create our initial plan, we take it to the people who know everything and they go, no, we'll cut that one out. We'll cut that one out. We'll cut that out. There's no way you're going to be able to do all of that down there in the density. So what's Robert's done with his books is he goes into different life things that can happen to you. And he does in his second book have a really long chapter on adoption. But he also has things on being a drug addict or being a murderer or, being a serial, serial person who continually has affairs or, anyhow, it's really, really interesting. His whole books are interesting. But what he does is he takes you back to the records with archangels and different people there, explaining why you made these life choices. Highly recommend these books for anyone, because what they do is they help you to bring your life into perspective, and they help you to realize that we're all going through different things in life, different tragedies, different events. And it's not easy, but they help you to realize that there's so many other people in the world who are going through similar things. So it helps you to have more empathy, and it helps you to connect with more people. So we're all energetically connected. And that's what I love more than anything else, is the fact that when we know how connected we are, we can understand that we can do these little rituals, these things that we don't have to do face to face. We can do them, and the other person will energetically feel it and they will heal from it as well. So I just want to make sure. Are we doing right now? Let me just get up on the notes. Okay, so Adelphi is gone. Okay, great. You're going to watch later. I totally understand that you have to come. Yeah. So Adelphia, reach out to me when you watch this later. And if you don't, well, that's fine. You weren't meant to. But I'm pretty sure your mother and you decided not to connect in this lifetime. Now, I know that the original plan before we finalized it was I was not meant to meet my daughter. But I know that I turned around and I said, I'm not doing this unless we meet. Okay? Now, her parents who adopted her were not happy with that, but that was the only way I was going to agree to it. So they reluctantly said yes. Now, they have fought me being in my daughter's life the whole time. They will not meet me, which is their choice, which is, totally their choice. But they haven't made it easier for us to be together, because she feels like she's living a secret double life because she doesn't really want to tell them when she connects with me. But now she's, she was born in 73, right? So you can figure out that she's 47. She's going to be 48 later this year. And of course, she's at that stage where most women who are coming into their 50s are coming into a time in their lives where they're like, what about me? What about what I want? You know, when is it my time to do the things that I want to? When is it my time to use my voice? When it is my time to do all this sort of stuff? So she's at that phase, which is why she is now, you know, and her children are also late teens. Well, one's, I think the youngest one is 16 this year, 15 or 16 this year. And the other ones are adults. So that means they must, 16 this year. So she's at that stage where her kids don't require her every single moment. So she can start to do the things that bring her love and joy, which is what my whole 5-step process is to move beyond loss. We come to the 5th step, which is the pivotal stage, which is where you start to design the life that you live and love each and every day. And that's what my Beyond Loss Loving Life is all about. It's about us deep diving into the things, the events in our life that really most of us don't know how to move beyond. So we shove the feelings down. We use all of these avoidance tactics, and I've done them as well. You know, I drank too much. I worked too much. I shopped too much. We do them all just to avoid this constant drum inside of us, which is saying, when are you going to start loving your life? When are you start going to have joy? When are you going to start to do the things that bring you joy, bring you happiness? And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I show up here each Monday at noon to help people to see life from a different perspective and to also help people to realize that we are one. Okay. I'll read the comments and then I'll carry on. Thanks, Narelle. Raminia, I totally agree. His books are amazing. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Narelle. Diana, Karen. Extremely interesting. Are you able to write them down into the comments at the end of your live, please? I'll come back, Diana, and I'll put them under your comment for you as well, because they're here now, and these books are interesting. And I've got a whole lot of spiritual books. Just reach out if you'd like to know more, because what I've found is, as I've journeyed through life, now I was brought up Catholic, right? And I always thought, yeah, there's something here, but I'm not really resonating with exactly what the Catholic sort of version, I guess, of spirituality was all about. Even from a young age, I sort of got it, but I didn't get it. And then, so I always had a spiritual side of me, which even though I was an accountant, I totally deep dived into it. I think I went and had my first reading when I was like 21. Now, I also had a daughter who I'd adopted out. So every time I would go, that was my way of checking into her life, because obviously it was a closed adoption, of checking into life and seeing how she was, seeing she was happy and all those sort of things. And, you know, I met her when she was 27. So there was a long journey with me not knowing she was all right. And then as we obviously got older, you would hear things about pedophiles and this and that. And, you know, and I was always like, oh my God, you know, what if I had accidentally, like not knowingly, of course, put her into a home where things like this has happened. And unfortunately, I've met quite a few people over the years where that did happen, which isn't good at all. You know, it's not as though you would give your child away for a better life and then put them into a scenario like that. So thankfully that never happened with my daughter. She had an amazing upbringing. They were great parents. You know, they did exactly everything that I had hoped for her. Now, what is really amazing is I've sort of lost my train of thought now. I'm just sorry about that. I was, you know, just being so thankful to her parents. Oh yeah, right. So they weren't happy with the fact that I said, well, I'm not going to live that life. I'm not going to do that unless I meet it. And I'm so glad that I did that when I was on the other side, because a life of not knowing, in my opinion, and sure, to start with, it's just curiosity. But there is a connection. Like, there is a huge connection. I'd love to be able to share a photo with you, but I can't, because I have to honor her space. But I have to say that the weekend together, and we've had a couple in the last couple of months. So it has been amazing. And it was just one-to-one this time, whereas we've never had, like, just say, so probably it was probably about 70 hours where there was just the two of us. We've never had that. When I lived in Sydney, we would go out for dinner. We'd spend 3 hours together, and then I probably wouldn't see her for another 3 or 4 months. But, obviously spending all this time together and, getting to know each other and all those sort of things is totally amazing. So that's what life's about. So my question to you now is there something in your life, and it doesn't have to be the same as this, where you've sort of avoided it? Yeah, a relationship that you've put on hold, that you've avoided because it just got too hard. But then you're like, I'd really like to heal it. If you sort of thought to yourself, if this was my last day on earth, what would my regrets be? Is there a relationship that you have in your life that you think, I'd really love to heal this, but I just don't know how? Because every time we get together, we end up in fights. It's not pretty. It's really hard. And you just think, oh, it's just not worth it. So you've sort of shoved all your emotions down and you're thinking, how? How can I heal this? How can I move beyond? And just to say, even if you don't have a relationship with them, you just can then turn around and go, thank you for being in my life. I love you. I understand that we can't hang out together. It just doesn't work. I'd like to, but I don't know how to. Is there anything like that? Because that's what I'd like to discuss today. And it's taken me half an hour to get here, but I really wanted to share my journey with my daughter, because I can tell you right now, there was many, many, many times where I sobbed myself to sleep, frustrated and upset about the fact that we didn't have a relationship. And that's what I just want. That's what I want for you guys to know, that if there is something in your life, whether you're watching this live or not, reach out and let me know, because I know that we can work on it, and I know that you can have whatever you want. Like, if you turn around and you just sort of go, I'd love to have this relationship with, it could even be with a child, an adult child. So many times I hear people say, I just don't have a relationship with my adult children. Like, they just don't reach out to me. There is just nothing there. Well, I can assist you to heal that. You may have a relationship with your current partner that isn't as ideal as you would like it to be. Maybe, over the years, you've just sort of got stuck in a rut and you don't know how to get out of it because the other person is happy. Maybe not as much, maybe not as happy as what you think you are, but you've probably never had the discussion with it. Amanda, yes, there is shame. I have to get back to work. Okay. Amanda, if you want to reach out later, reach out. Totally understand you have to go back to work. But this is what it's about. There could be shame in relationship to certain things. I'm just going to take a cup of sip because I've been talking for half an hour. Thank you, Amanda, for commenting. Is there anyone else that would like for us to talk about it? You don't have to obviously go into details about it, but just let me know, because life is way too short. Like, my 27-year-old son, 10 years ago in July, we thought a healthy 27-year-old went out drinking with his mates. The next morning, we found him dead at our back door, which was the last thing we expected on a Sunday morning to wake up to. It's the last thing anyone would expect. But why I'm sharing that is not for you to feel sorry for me. I'm sharing it to let you know that You never know what's around the corner. The only thing we're guaranteed is the present, the now. And the more that you realize that and the more that you have that in your focus, the more you actually go, if I left today, what would be my regrets? And how could I heal it today so I didn't have that regret? Because one thing that I know for sure, right, is that, as I said, we designed our life. Sure, we still have free choice. And it doesn't mean we have to stick with it in glue, but we did design our life, okay? So when we go back, we're going to do a life review. Now, a life review is after we have a party and celebrate with all of our loved ones and people who have passed before us, who were there for us in this life, whether they were there for us physically or as guides and guardian angels and assisting us, along our way. There's one thing that we know for sure, and that is that after our party and after our great get together, we are going to look at our life, the life that we've led, and then we're going to look at the plan that we had, our soul's plan, and we're going to compare and we're going to go, you wanted to have 10 life challenges and you learnt 3. So you got 3 out of 10. And we're not going to berate you and go, you failed. We're just going to deep dive into why. And we understand that it's a lot denser down here. But we also have created, the whole world has created these amazing avoidance tactics that we all live. And one of them is this. We all can deep dive into avoidance. We can do it through food, alcohol, drugs, through anger. Anger is this avoidance tactic that just keeps everyone away from us. It's like if I'm angry, no one will come here and no one will bug me or no one will expect me to change. Excuse me. And then, of course, there is work. Let's face it, that is the biggest avoidance thing. We can deep dive into work. When Dan passed away, straight the day after his funeral, I went back to work and I worked harder and I drank more and I ate more. And they were all avoidance tactics. So I didn't have to be a grieving mother. That was never in my plan. Well, it was, obviously, but my conscious plan, it was never in my conscious plan. Excuse me. So I've just noticed I've got a photo of Dan on the side and it's fallen over. I'm going to grab it for you and I'm going to show one of these photos because this has got a funny story attached to it. Can you see it? So as you can see, he's got his thumbs up over here. You can, let me go here. See, this is reverse. So over here, he has his thumb up. It took me a while to get there, but I got there. But anyway, there is a funny story around this photo. I'm going to tell you. There was one day I was going to a networking event. And I was a speaker at this networking event. And I was looking for a jar to get people's business cards and stuff like that into it. And what I did was my girlfriend came who was coming with me. She was my little assistant. And I said to her, I know I've got a little bowl somewhere, but I can't find it. And I know it's downstairs, but I can't find it downstairs. So she runs downstairs and she looks around all this area. And this is where Dan and his girlfriend used to live. And she comes back up and she goes, I found the bowl. I found the right bowl. And I went, oh, really? And how did you know it was the right bowl? She goes, because this photo was inside of it. And Dan had his thumbs up. I went, oh, you have definitely found the right bowl because obviously he's telling you, yep, Mum, this is the one. And it was. But what I'm telling you, what I would like to explain is that when we do that life review and we look at the things that we've done and haven't done, there are so many other because of all of these avoidance tactics. So as I said, work, food, alcohol, drugs, anger, there's shopping. I even call it retail therapy. So it's just an avoidance tactics. And of course, there's work and there's excess exercise and there's excess sex and social media. We have created a world of Netflix, and it's just avoidance. Netflix, social media, you think about it. It's stopping you from living your life, stopping you from deep diving in to the things that I love to assist people to deep dive into. Because when you do, not only do you feel lighter and stand taller and then can design this amazing life for you to moving forward, but more importantly, you honor the past relationship, you heal it. And when you heal it, you sort of stop a repeat of it happening, because it's going to keep happening in a different scenario. Like, how many times have you seen people date the same person in a different body that treats them the same bad way because they haven't learned the lesson? But when they deep dive in and stop and learn that lesson, well, then they will be able to have an amazing relationship because they've learned the lesson and moved on, because you're not going to take those same things into the next relationship. Now, I just want it to be really clear that in every relationship, there's two people, and there's not just one person who acts badly all the time and the other one acts amazingly. There's two people in every relationship, and it's about you not, putting blame all on the other. It's about you taking responsibility for both what has happened, to make sure that you know what has happened, so that then next time when you move forward, it will never happen again. Okay. Diana, hey Karen, what would be a few examples of these 10 challenges? Sorry, can't remember what you call them. That would things that we set out for our 10 challenges. Are you talking about the challenges that you put into your life? I'm not limited to 10. Okay. I think you're talking about the 40 different loss events that can occur in our lives. We set out for ourselves. Is that what you're talking about, Diana? Because if you're talking about the 40 different loss events that can occur in our lives, here's a list. If it's not that, let me know. So here's a list of all the different loss events that can occur in our lives. And most of us don't know how to move beyond loss, because most of us have never been taught how to move beyond loss. Believe me, I've had a lot of these loss events in my life, as I've explained two of them in today's forecast. Oh, so you were saying we may only get 3 out of 10. Okay, right. I just used 10 as an example, just so I could say, well, you're 30% right. Okay. So when you design your life, you could have multiple, depending on how long you're going to live, you're going to have a lot of those 40 different loss events. Like, I've been on here and I have said, I show that list all the time, and I'm happy to put it back up if anyone wants me to put it back up. But let's just move on and answer Diana's, Deanna. I hope I'm saying your name right. Diana's question. So I've been on here, I show that list, and I had a lady say, which is the most I've ever had on any webinar or show, I'm 40 and I've had 21 of those loss events. So obviously each of her loss events has a lesson attached to them. And each lesson would be on your life review. Okay. So it could be that when she gets there, it could be she has 30 on there because she was only 40. She could have 50 on there. But each challenge and each love in your life is what you designed so that you can learn and grow on a spiritual level. Hope that's answered your question. Okay. Narelle, in regards to relationships life. I'll just put this up here so everyone can see what I'm reading. I hope that works for everyone. I've always tried. Okay. Yes, Narelle. No, well, I don't need that up there. Okay, Narelle, I totally agree. And I'm glad you've done the healing. Good on you for doing the healing. Have you forgiven him? Have you gone to the stage and forgiven him? Because what I've found, and in my 5-step beyond loss process, there is a process where we apologize, forgive, and acknowledge. And it's really important that we do that, and in the form that I actually do it, because and you don't ever send what you do to them, but you verbally say it, and you also do it in a process, a loving process, where they will energetically feel it. Now, when you actually do that process, because they energetically feel it, you heal it. And not only do you heal yourself, but you also heal them. And it's surprising how often, if they are still alive in this realm, because a lot of the times you'll be doing this process on someone who has passed, they feel it, and then they'll reach out, because then they'll be more open, because they know that you have healed it. And I'm a great believer that no matter what has happened, and even though it may appear that they're very disconnected and stuff, they'd still have love and shame and guilt and regrets in regards to a relationship that is not ideal. And it's really important that we all understand that, because, like how I started out with my daughter, our miscommunication over the past, say, 17, 18 years, where we both would say something and the other would misinterpret it, all because we never turned around and said things like, can you explain what you've just heard from me? Because we say things, but that doesn't mean people are going to hear it in the way that you intended what you were saying to be heard. We all have our own beliefs, we all have our own understandings, and we all see the world from our perspective. So many times we think that what was said in a way that was maybe hurtful, or not the way that it was intended. So it's really important for us all to understand that when we have these relationships that are estranged, that it could be just a communication breakdown. And I know that things have probably been done and said on both ways. So I don't want to bring it down and devalue it. I just like you to take that next step, Morel, and just sort of say, is there, something else inside of me? And I know you've done the work, right? That still requires healing in regards to this. Is there something that I need to apologize for? Is there something I need to forgive? Or just to acknowledge, thank you for being my father. Thank you for, being part of my life. Yeah, it's a little bit more than that, just acknowledging that he is your father. It's, it's a little bit, yeah. Anyway, I hope you do the healing, the next step, because, after going through this journey with my daughter, it's just so rewarding, I guess. And that's why I sort of started this topic today, is because I'm on a high, because now we're at a stage where we have agreed that if we are feeling, upset or angry or this or that, we won't go off to our girlfriends, or we won't go off to our respective partners. We'll come to each other and we'll just say, look, I'm not really happy about this. I'm not happy that you did this, or you didn't do this, or you said this, or you didn't say this. There's just so many things. I helped a lady, a couple of years ago now, and she was going through her second divorce. And she thought that's why she came to me in my Beyond Loss program. But as we worked through the 5 steps, she came to the realization that the relationship that required healing first before she got to her the husband that she was divorcing was the relationship with her mother. So through the process that we did, she came to realize that she never had the relationship with her mother that she required. Yes, her mother loved her, but she didn't love her in the way that she wanted to be loved. And so her mother probably just thought, well, that's our relationship. Whereas as a daughter, she was like, no, I really wanted more from you. And I understand that you probably weren't able to give it, but through her healing that and understanding that and going through that process, she has released this angst and all of this stuff inside of her because she realized that until that relationship was healed, moving forward, she was always looking for that love in all the wrong places, I guess is the best way to say it. So I hope that sort of helps you, Narelle. And I have to say, good on you for doing the work because it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone to do the deep dive within themselves and to peel back, some layers of yourself, which we may think are not as ideal as they could be. But the more that we peel them back and the more that we work through them, the more that we come back to our amazing selves, to our essence, and which I just love to call, the essence of you. Obviously I'm talking about me. It's the essence of me, where you really deep dive into it and you figure out that sometimes you've been a person who don't like being. And it's only because you've been in a scenario where you're in survival. And of course, when we're in survival, we will do anything to survive. And it's really good to know that maybe it's just an aspect of you or it's a little part of you that will come out at these stages. So then you'll put yourself into scenarios where you know that, I just don't want to be that person. So not that I'm going to be a person that's a doormat, but I'm going to make sure that moving forward, these are the things that I want. And if I set my boundaries and I use my voice and I'm open and I'm honest really early on in saying, I don't like it when you act like that. I'm not going to be around you if you continue to act like that. So what do you require healing for so that you can heal that part of you? And we all have it in us. We all have so many amazing parts. When we realize there is no good and bad, there's just a part of us and the reason why we behave the way we do. Hope that all makes sense. I've sort of gone off in a way to actually help us to realize that any of our emotions are ideal in any scenario. It's when we push them down and we don't deep dive into them and we don't heal them. It's funny how some people trigger us. And a comment from someone will really trigger us negative, whereas the same comment from someone else will be a positive reaction that we have. And it's about deep diving into every time you are triggered, negatively or positively, that you can actually go, what's this about? What requires healing? What's the process for me to deep dive in and to heal this so that I can be the person that I want to be all of the time? And not only is it amazing because you will heal, but you'll feel lighter and you'll stand taller and you'll feel amazing. And when you feel amazing, it's amazing how everyone else around you will as well, because you become the example for them. They start to say, what are you doing? You're looking amazing. And why is it that you are always this way? And and the answer is, it's because I heal. I heal myself. I heal my reactions. I don't avoid them. I deep dive into them. And the more that you do that, the less that you have to heal. But I know, I totally understand. I've done the work on myself. There's no way I could stand here and say this if I hadn't done the deep dives into myself. It's not easy, but it's so worthwhile. It's actually easier than avoiding. It really is. And because the sooner you start doing it, the less you'll have to do. Whereas if you avoid for the rest of your life, you are going to get to the end of your life and you're going to look back and you're going to go, wow, why? And the funny thing is that the more conversations that you have with people, the more that you realize that the majority is a misunderstanding. And it's a misunderstanding that if you actually said at the time of saying something, that really offended me, and the other person go, oh, why? That wasn't my intention. This was just my opinion. But they've taken it to heart. And that's why using your voice is so important to clarify as well as to express. I hope that sort of works out. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm coming to the end of my show. I got less than 10 minutes left now. So is there any questions that anyone has? Is there any way that I can assist you? A lot of the time, while you're typing any questions, I'll just love to share with you my Revitalize Your Life program, which I just absolutely love. And what I'll do is I'll put a link here as well. So what is the Revitalize Your Life all about? So this is my 45-day program, I guess, awareness, where each day into your special little area, I add a new activity, which takes around no more than 45 minutes. So it's a 45-day Revitalize Your Life. And what's it about is it's a deep dive into you, right? I know it sounds amazing, isn't it? And it assists you to heal any aspect in your life that may not be rolling along nicely. And it's just an awareness thing, things like you matter. Your time matters, your health matters, your relationships matter. And we deep dive into all of these different things. And it's all about assisting you to have clarity so that you can have joy and fulfillment and love in all areas of your life, not just like overall. And in the Chaston Center model, there are 9 areas of life, which seem like a lot, but when you deep dive into the 9 areas of life, it's amazing. So I put them into 4 pillars because you can remember 4 a lot easier. All about you, all about your relationships, all about your expertise, and all about your wealth creation. So when you start to really deep dive into them, you really start to say, wow, where am I now? Where would I like to be? And what are the steps and the actions that require so I can close that gap and close that gap and close that gap? Because that's what life is all about, is you living and loving your life. So I highly recommend that you deep dive and just have a look at the link, Revitalize Your Life. Because believe me, everyone who goes through it and does the activities, and yes, it's 45 days, which is 6 weeks, but the good news is that it's there forever. So if you miss a day where you just pick it up the next day, don't wait forever. Just do it. It's amazing the new awareness and perspective that it actually brings to your life. As I said, it gives you the clarity that you may be lacking in designing the most perfect life for yourself. And it's important for you to remember that you are the only person you will be spending your entire life with. So when are you going to start to put yourself first and create all of your dreams and desires? Really important for you to have that awareness. Really important. I was in my mid-50s before I realized that. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that it took me that long to realize it, because I truly was putting me last. I truly was not looking after myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And they're the 4 areas of life that are in the all about you. So I highly recommend it. Good news is it is $1 a day. Total investment $45. Now, it's not going to stay at that price because on other platforms, I sell it for $10 a day. And believe me, I purposely am doing it at $1 a day on this platform because I just know that when you start to look after yourself, you really do create the life that you live and love each and every day. So that's it for me. I can see there's no more questions. So good on you for being here. Thank you. I think it's really great that, that you've shown up today and you've listened and you've played, and I honor you. I thank you. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you here again next week when who knows what we're going to talk about, because I just let it come and we just go with the flow. So thank you and have an amazing week, and reach out if you have any questions. Bye for now. I'll just play my little thing. It's not going to work. Let me just play my little scenario. Bye, everybody.